Here's the truth. Most people moving to Charlotte have no idea what they're walking into. They think it's just another southern city with cheaper homes and decent weather. But this place, it's evolving so fast, it's even catching locals off guard. Whole districts are being rebuilt from scratch. Smart homes are becoming the norm, and the neighborhoods everyone was ignoring 5 years ago, now they're the ones that nobody can afford. You're not getting the full picture from Zillow, and you're definitely not getting it from a slideshow of stats and skyline drone shots. This is what living in Charlotte actually looks like, where the money's flowing, where the locals are moving, and how to avoid getting stuck in the wrong zip code with no clue why it doesn't feel like home. Because if you don't know what's happening next, you're already behind. And the next 2 minutes could save you thousands and years of regret. So here's what we're gonna do in this video. Think of this as your full access pass to the real Charlotte. No fluff, no filler, just everything you need to know, start to finish. We're gonna cover the neighborhoods that locals don't want you to find out about, the cost traps that catch people off guard, the lifestyle perks nobody tells you about, and yes, even the frustrations that might make you rethink where you want to land. And we're not dragging it out with long stories or generic lists. Every section is punchy, useful, and packed with things you actually care about if you're planning to move here or just trying to figure out where you fit. So let's kick it off with something that's changing the way people live, not just in Charlotte, but nationwide. And what might surprise you is how this tech-forward trend isn't just for luxury homes anymore. Here's what I love about Charlotte right now. It's not just growing, it's getting smarter. And you really start to feel that when you walk into one of these newer homes and realize you don't have to spend 7 figures to live like it's 5 years from now. I'm seeing it all over. $450,000 new builds in Mint Hill where the thermostat knows you're gone before you close the door. Townhomes in South Charlotte with garage doors that sync to your phone. And even out in Indian Land, I've walked buyers through homes where your lights, locks, music, and sprinklers are all in one app. One guy turned to me mid-tour and said, "Wait, this is standard?" It's not just cool, it's livable. And that's the difference here. These aren't luxury add-ons, they're part of how builders are designing homes now. Energy efficient systems, pre-wired EV chargers, full fiber internet baked into the community. You're saving money and making life easier. And that's what sets Charlotte apart. We're not chasing tech trends, we're building them into everyday life. From Waxhaw to Steel Creek, this city is creating smart homes for real people, not just showpieces. If you're thinking, could I actually live like this? Check the description. That's where you'll find everything, how to reach out, connect with our team, or even get matched to a neighborhood where the kind of lifestyle exists. We help clients navigate this every day. And if you're curious where to start, that's the place. And once you've seen how far your money can go tech-wise, the next step is figuring out where that lifestyle actually fits you. Let's talk neighborhoods, and not the ones showing up on some tourist map. These are the spots that locals are trying to keep secret. Now, here's what I tell every client. Charlotte's not a city where you pick a house and just hope for the best. You've got to find your fit, because this place, it's a collection of microcultures, each with their own pace, people, and personality. If you want buzz, then South End it is. It's loud, it's social, it's built for people who want to walk to everything and maybe not even own a car. You're riding the light rail, grabbing tacos on Tuesdays, and yeah, parking, that's not gonna be your favorite part of the week, but the energy is constant. Then, 10 minutes east, Noda flips the vibe. It's still walkable, but way more chill with local artists, indie coffee shops, 90s thrift stores, and front porches with character. I've shown homes there where the floors creak in the best way, and this couple was like, this feels like Charlotte. Now, expect $650,000 for a 1,400 square foot Craftsman on a tiny lot, but you'll walk to murals and music every weekend. Now, if you want timeless, Myers Park is that. Brick colonials, winding streets, and yards big enough to host a neighborhood cookout without ever leaving your driveway. It's polished, it's quiet, it's the kind of place where your neighbors know your dog's name and your landscaper schedule. Then there's Valentine, and here's where most people get caught off guard. Big homes, open layouts, newer builds, all wrapped in master plan community. For $650,000, you'll get 3,000 square feet on a quarter acre with top tier schools. But heads up, you're not walking anywhere. This is driving territory. And if you're not a hop in the SUV for everything kind of person, you'll feel it fast. I had a client last month moved down from New Jersey, thought they wanted space, bought into the Valentine dream, and then just 2 weeks in, they called and said, "We miss people." We found them a townhome in Dilworth with a tiny yard and a coffee shop just 2 blocks away. And now they wave to neighbors on the way to brunch. That's the stuff that no price tag tells you. This city has every kind of lifestyle baked in. But if you don't think about how you want to live day to day, you can end up in the right house in the wrong life. And once you've got that clarity, once you know how you want to live, it's time to see what's coming next. Because this isn't about fitting into Charlotte, it's about getting in before it changes all over again. Let me show you what's being built right now. Every time I drive through Midtown, I catch myself saying the same thing. That wasn't there 6 months ago. Cranes in the sky, restaurants popping up on corners that used to be gravel lots. It's like Charlotte is rewriting itself one block at a time. What's wild is that it's not just growth, it's smart growth. The Pearl's a perfect example. It used to be an ordinary medical complex. Now, you've got Wake Forest Med School anchoring a district that's pulling in high-tech labs, biotech startups, and rooftop bars on the same street. I had a couple touring homes nearby last week, new construction townhomes in the 550s, and they said, we're walking to dinner in a med tech campus that feels like Seattle, but sunny. Well, not today. It's not the only place flipping the script. There's this new development called Queensbridge, right where South End meets Uptown, and it doesn't feel like anything Charlotte's done before. It's not trying to be flashy, it's trying to be livable. Plazas, restaurants, office towers, but it's all layered in a way that makes you want to hang out, not just pass through. Prices in the area are already reflecting that shift. What used to be $400,000 condos are now nudging $700,000. And people are still buying. Same story in Plaza Midwood. Commonwealth's reshaping that whole corridor, bringing murals, pop-by kitchens, and creative spaces where abandoned storefronts used to sit. Some of the nearby craftsman homes that sat around $350,000 a few years ago, they're now being torn down and rebuilt into $900,000 moderns with rooftops, patios, and no yard in sight. And west of Uptown, the Iron District's turning warehouses into studios, retail, and rooftops with actual skyline views. You can still find loft-style townhomes here in the high 400s, but that won't last long. Nobody's talking about this 5 years ago. Now, everyone's watching it rise. What makes it hit harder is that locals aren't just watching this happen, they're buying in. These aren't fake neighborhoods getting dressed up for the gram. They're becoming places people actually want to live, work, and be on the weekend. Of course, all this buzz brings up one unavoidable question. How do you get around it all? Because traffic's still part of the story. But the way Charlotte is adapting, that's where it gets interesting. Let's talk movement. What's changing, what's still frustrating, and how people are actually making it work. People love to warn you about Charlotte traffic, usually with that look like, just wait till you hit 77 at 5 p.m. And sure, it gets clogged, but that's not the full picture. What's changing fast isn't just the roads, it's how Charlotteans are designing life around them. In some neighborhoods, you forget your car even exists. I'm talking South End, where the light rail hums past coffee shops, dog parks, and taco joints all on the same block. I had a client from Atlanta visit recently, and midway through our tour, she goes, "This feels like a lifestyle upgrade, not just a new address." She ended up in a 2-bed condo just steps from the light rail, just under $700,000, and walks to work now in sneakers. But here's the twist. It's not just the inner city. Out in places like Waverly or Birkdale Village, they've engineered the suburban version of park once and do everything. You pull into the neighborhood center and boom, there's brunch, your kids' daycare, your pharmacy, your gym. Homes in Waverly hover around the $500,000 to $700,000 range for about 2,500 square feet or a little bit more. And you're about 25 minutes to Uptown without the rush hour. It's not walkability the way that South End does it, but it still feels intentional and it works. That's the direction Charlotte is heading. More planned communities, more pocket neighborhoods that solve the drive for everything problem. And yeah, traffic still stacks on I-485 or Highway 160, especially during construction. But it's less about the gridlock and more about knowing where to live so you don't feel it every day. Because your time matters, and let's be honest, whose doesn't? It changes how you choose a zip code. And that choice just isn't about logistics anymore, it's about lifestyle. You want to be close to where your day actually happens. And if you think proximity is powerful, wait until you see what Charlotte's building into its public spaces. Because the next part, it's where backyards meet bike trails and rooftops meet fire pits. Let's talk outdoor living, Charlotte style. Charlotte's creative pulse doesn't shout, it hums under the surface. You feel it in South End when you stop for tacos and stumble into a rooftop silent disco above a pickleball court. Or in NoDa, where your morning coffee detours into a pop-up gallery and then rolls straight into sidewalk jazz set before noon. It's not curated, it's constant. Around the evening muse, acoustic sets spill into the street, while Yunta serves empanadas from a sidewalk tent. At the Blind Pig, the cocktails are $4, the lighting's moody, and no one's rushing home. Even South Park's relaxing its collar. Weeknights at Little Mama's buzz like Saturdays, and skyline views from the AC Hotel rooftop have turned into a local midweek hangout. Then there's Camp North End, once a Ford factory and now a mashup of Afro-Caribbean kitchens, street art, plant shops, and drag brunches that somehow blend without trying too hard. A couple from Seattle walked through and actually bailed on their dinner plans. They'd already found their vibe. But this isn't just atmosphere, it's real estate leverage. A $750,000 townhome near the rail trail in South End puts you steps from it all. NODA offers $525,000 bungalows where fire pits replace lawns and murals bookend your street. Out near Camp North End, you'll find newer builds under $500,000 where rooftop decks beat backyards and everything feels just 10 minutes away. And here's the truth. People think they're shopping for square footage, but they're really buying Thursday nights that turn into something unexpected. So quick question for you. What part of this lifestyle are you vibing with? South End's rooftops, NODA's indie art, or Camp North End's creative chaos? Drop it in the comments. I read every one and I'm genuinely curious what speaks to you most. The kind of lifestyle doesn't fade when the sun sets. It spills into patios, rooftops, and all-season design, which brings us to the next thing locals are doing right. How Charlotte's turning every outdoor space into a livable one. Let's talk backyard reinvention, climate resilience, and what outdoor living actually looks like here. Charlotte doesn't do boring backyards anymore. If you're picturing a patch of grass and a sad folding chair, erase it. Today, it's fire pits framed by string lights, covered porches with built-in heaters, and turf that looks better than half the lawns you grew up mowing. It's not just for looks either. Charlotte's climate throws everything at you. Sun, rain, heat waves, freak cold snaps, and people here are adapting like pros. I've walked listings in Waxhaw with automatic pergolas that open or close based on the weather. In Ballantyne, one builder's doing 3-season rooms with full bug screens, ceiling fan standard, and in places like Oakhurst or Cotswold, homeowners are transforming side yards into shaded lounges with vertical gardens and outdoor projectors. It's not a trend, it's a new way of living. Even smaller lots are getting creative. In South End, it's all about rooftop decks with skyline views, built-in planters, and retractable canopies. You'll see a 1,500 square foot townhome with maybe 300 square feet of rooftop, but that space is curated to the inch. I had one buyer say, I don't care about a formal dining room, I just want a patio. And the builders have caught on. Many of Charlotte's newer developments, especially around Indian Land and Fort Mill, are offering full outdoor kitchens, gas lines, and EV chargers as part of base packages. They're not upgrades, they're just part of the blueprint. So why does it matter? Because climate resilience isn't just smart, it's sellable. When buyers realize they can entertain year-round without a single square foot going to waste, they see long-term lifestyle value. It's not just about staying dry, it's about loving where you live 12 months a year. And it brings up a huge question that families especially are asking. How do schools and services fit into all of this? If you're building a life here, what kind of structure actually supports it? If you're moving with kids or planning to, Charlotte puts you in decision mode fast. And the first thing people want to know, how are the schools? Here's the honest truth. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but there are options and a lot more of them than people expect. Public school performance here really varies by zip code. South Charlotte areas like Ardrey Kell, Providence, and Myers Park have consistently strong reputations. But even within those areas, lines shift and programs change. So always verify based on your address. Same thing with charter and magnet options. You've got specialized campuses for STEM, arts, language immersion, but full availability and admission policies can shift year to year. Now, this isn't a rating, it's just a starting point for you. Private schools, they're absolutely part of the landscape. Charlotte Latin, Charlotte Country Day, and Providence Day are well-known names, but there's a growing list of niche programs too. Montessori, faith-based, and hybrid models. They're not cheap, but families here are often factoring tuition into their housing budget because of what they want for their kids. Beyond schools, Charlotte's family infrastructure hits in ways that buyers don't always expect. Novant Health and Atrium Health anchor top-tier hospital networks. Parks like Freedom Park, Park Road Park, and Reedy Creek give you actual green space in city limits. And across neighborhoods like Ballantyne, Highland Creek, and Elizabeth, you'll find after-school programs, co-working cafes, and even neighborhood pools that become a built-in weekend plan. Home style plays into this too. A $625,000 home in Ballantyne might come with 4 bedrooms, a fenced yard, and a bonus room that's already been turned into a Zoom classroom or play loft. In places like Mint Hill or Matthews, you'll see $500,000 homes with bigger lots and fewer traffic headaches, especially appealing for families that need space without giving up access. The bottom line, Charlotte doesn't just have family-friendly neighborhoods. It has infrastructure, flexibility, and choice. And that balance, that's what lets people stay in the city as their lives evolve. Now, whether you're moving solo or with 5 kids in tow, everyone asks the same thing. What's it really going to cost me to live here? So let's break that down. The numbers, the surprises, and the spots that offer more value than you'd expect. Let's talk numbers, because Charlotte isn't a bargain basement city, and it's not trying to be. But if you know how to read the map, there's still real value here. It just doesn't always show up in the places you'd expect. Entry-level homes are hovering in the mid 300Ks in spots like University City and Mint Hill. Think 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,600 to 1,800 square feet with maybe a 1-car garage and a small yard. You're not getting stainless everything, but you are getting space, and that still matters to first-time buyers. Move into neighborhoods like Steel Creek or Matthews, and you'll see a $450,000 to $550,000 range with updated finishes, bigger yards, and more square footage, often over 2,000 square feet. These are family zones with walking trails, community pools, and layouts that feel like a step up from starter homes. Now, for the luxury side, Myers Park and Foxcroft, they're pushing $1.5 million easily for renovated historic homes or newer builds with top-tier finishes. You're buying into legacy here. Tree-lined streets, proximity to uptown, and real estate that rarely dips. Beyond the price tags though, it's the monthly stuff that trips people up. Utilities in Charlotte tend to run around $250 to $350 a month for a 2,000 square foot home, depending on insulation and smart tech. Groceries are still fairly average for the region, but certain neighborhoods, especially South End and Plaza Midwood, carry a price premium on dining, gyms, and boutique services. That $8 smoothie habit adds up real fast. Taxes, Mecklenburg County clocks in around 1.05% of assessed value. And in the city limits, you'll have both city and county taxes. So yes, a $600,000 home will run you roughly $6,300 a year in property taxes. Now that's not insane, but it's not cheap either. And let's not forget HOA fees. In some newer developments, especially townhome or amenity-rich communities, you're seeing $200 to $350 a month. What you get varies: lawn care, pool access, exterior maintenance. Ask early and compare aggressively. So what does all this add up to? Charlotte's no longer cheap, but it's strategic. You're paying for a lifestyle, location, and long-term livability. And when buyers understand that up front, they're making smarter, longer-term moves. And of course, value isn't just about price, it's about potential. And some of Charlotte's fastest growing neighborhoods are hiding right in plain sight. You know that moment when you're driving through a neighborhood and something just clicks? Like, okay, this is about to blow up. Well, that's happening all over Charlotte right now. Not in the tourist brochures, behind them. There's this little pocket just east of Uptown where the light rail hums past old industrial shells that now host farmers markets, rooftop decks, and the occasional DJ. That's Optimist Park territory, and it's not a secret anymore. I showed a buyer a townhome with a skyline view, 3 beds, a rooftop, and a price tag just under $575,000. They looked around and said, we'd never walk to a brewery in our last city. Over in Villa Heights, the vibe is looser. You've got 1920s bungalows that still wear their history next to modern new builds that lean sleek and bold. It's not trying to be fancy, but it's functional, creative, and walkable. A young company I work with locked in a $685,000 new build and couldn't stop talking about the little coffee shop down the street with the garage door windows that open up on a Saturday morning. What's wild is how fast that same creative edge is spreading west. Around Savona Mill, historic West End, old brick storefronts are turning into microbreweries, co-working spots, and art collectives. The homes still lean older, lots of renovation potential, but that's part of what makes it interesting. You're getting story with your square footage. And if you head out toward the airport, the River District isn't just tight. It's Charlotte's biggest canvas. We're talking 1,400 acres of master planned green space, retail, and housing options that don't feel cookie cutter. One of my relocation clients was blown away by the vision. Wait, we can buy here early and 5 minutes from kayaking and coffee? Exactly. What ties all of these together isn't just price or proximity, it's possibility. These neighborhoods are where buyers are betting on lifestyle before the Instagram filters catch up. But zooming out, there's something even bigger happening. These rising pockets aren't just shaping home prices, they're rewriting what Charlotte is. And that brings us to the final piece, identity. Because this city isn't just expanding, it's evolving. There was a time when you said Charlotte, and people immediately pictured banks, ball games, and maybe a brewery or two. But that's not the full picture anymore. Not even close. This city's been leveling up quietly for a while. Now, it's fully stepping into something new. Tech and med innovation are moving in where logistics used to dominate. Creative startups are calling South End home. Public art, chef-owned restaurants, and small-scale design shops are popping up in areas once lined with warehouse and gravel lots. Take the area around the Pearl. What started as a medical hub has turned into full-on innovation district where you can grab dinner, catch a biotech pitch, and walk home in the same square mile. We've helped clients snag 2-bed condos here starting in the high 400s, right next to rooftop bars and research labs. Scroll through listings near Camp North End and you'll find reimagined loft spaces with exposed brick and polished concrete, perfect for remote creatives or small business owners. It's not unusual to find a 3-bed townhome tucked into a live-work zone for under $600,000, with walkability to galleries and food halls that don't even have signage yet. Charlotte's still grounded, still tree-lined, friendly, and humble in all the right ways, but the city's not afraid to evolve either. What's rising here is a more creative, more connected identity, one that values both skyline views and neighborly block parties, one where tech and tradition sit side by side. It's not a marketing line. You feel it when you talk to folks who've moved here for the vibe. Or when someone says, we thought we were coming for the job and we stayed because of the people. So if this feels like a place you could belong, if this new version of Charlotte matches where you're headed in life, we're ready to help you figure out where to land. Our team's here to make that move make sense. And if you want to dig into the neighborhood shaping this identity in real time, check out the playlist coming up next. We break it all down, street by street, vibe by vibe. Let's help you find your corner of the city. All right, if you've made it this far, you're not just curious about Charlotte, you're seriously trying to figure out where you fit in this city. And now, you've got the edge most people don't. You know what's coming, where the culture's shifting, and how to spot real value before it hits the mainstream. This is where we come in. If you're thinking Charlotte might be home, now or later, our team's here for the real talk. We don't do hard sells. We listen, we get your vibe, and we help you map out exactly where that lifestyle lives. Info's in the description. Shoot us a text, email, whatever works. And don't stop here. The playlist right next to this video, it's your blueprint. Deep dives into the neighborhoods we didn't even have time to touch. If you're still figuring out where you'd feel at home, start there. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.